Rosa Parks was a very prominent individual for her time, with her contributions throughout her life and especially with her actions on the bus in Montgomery, Alabama. It opened up many doors leading into the civil rights movement. She was born on February 4th, 1913, and moved with her parents, James and Leona McCauley, to Pine Level, Alabama, and had a baby brother named Sylvester, who was born in 1915. Her parents separated soon after, and she went to a laboratory school in Montgomery, Alabama, at the Alabama State Teachers College for Negroes, but left school at age 16 to take care of her dying grandmother. In 1932, at age 19, she married Raymond Parks, who was self-educated and was a longtime member of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Rosa and Raymond became respected members of Montgomery's large African community, but the city was governed by Jim Crow, and by December 1943, Rosa joined the Montgomery chapter of the NAACP and became chapter secretary. On December 1st, 1955, the spark for the Montgomery bus boycott took place. Parks was commuting home on Montgomery's Cleveland Avenue bus from her job at a local department store and was seated in the front row of the colored section. Parks and the two other black individuals she was seated with refused to vacate for white riders when asked by the driver, J. Fred Blake. She was arrested and fined $10 plus $4 in court fees. E.D. Nixon, head of the Alabama NAACP, and Joanne Robinson, head of the local Women's Political Council, had been looking for means by which to challenge the treatment of African Americans in Montgomery, Alabama. Parks was an ideal candidate for what they were looking for. After the arrest, Nixon and Joanne Robinson called for a bus boycott. The boycott was an outcry during which African Americans refused to ride city buses in Montgomery to protest segregated seating. It lasted through December 5, 1955 to December 20, 1956, and was regarded as the first large-scale U.S. demonstration against segregation. There were many community meetings held in area churches. Robinson and the members of the community worked tirelessly to create leaflets which were distributed to city's black churches. The leaflets read, "Don't ride the bus to work, to school, or any place Monday, December 5th. Come to a mass meeting Monday, 7 p.m. at the Holt Street Baptist Church for further instruction." During the protest, Martin Luther King, who at the time was a 26-year-old Baptist minister, emerged as the notable leader for the bus boycott. On the first day of the protest, MLK spoke in front of a crowd of more than 5,000 black citizens. He said, "There comes a time when people get tired of being segregated and humiliated. If you will protest courageously and yet with dignity and Christian love, historians will have to pause and say, there lived a great people, a black people, who injected a new meaning and dignity into the veins of civilization. This is our challenge and our overwhelming responsibility."
After the boycott, Parks' life began to crumble, and her political life led to fights with coworkers. Eventually, she was jobless after leaving her position as a seamstress at Montgomery Fair department store. She was disheartened that her black coworkers did not want to speak to her. If you were doing anything for change, you were an outcast. Jim Crow conditioned black folk to think that this was the best life they were going to get. People just stopped speaking to her until she was let go. After a rule was established that Parks could not be spoken about in the workplace, Raymond quit his job. Parks wasn't able to provide for herself, but stayed in Montgomery for a decade. They were forced to move to Hampton, Virginia, and she was disheartened by having to leave her extended family behind. Rosa Parks was considered the mother of the civil rights movement and invigorated the struggle for racial equality when she refused to give up her seat to a white man on the bus. A Supreme Court ruling and declining revenue forced the city to desegregate its buses 13 months later. She inspired the Montgomery bus boycott, and Parks served as a secretary for the local NAACP for 12 years. She lost her tailoring job and received death threats, and ultimately founded the NAACP Youth Council in early 1940s. Rosa Parks sadly died from natural causes on October 25, 2005, but will always be remembered as the mother of the civil rights movement.